It's so hard for me to sit back here in this studio looking at a guy out here hollering my name when last year I spent more money on spilt liquor in bars from one side of this world to the other than you made.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Chronicles on Tape. I am your host, Joey Lee, better known as Sticky Diljo, of course. Today we have Yuta, and Tiffany's busy painting her room. Ken just got back from Canada, so they'll probably be on the next one, but today is just me and Yuta running the ship, I guess. A lot of things have been going on the last couple of weeks. Spocom occurred, and then, there's a couple of shows that we didn't get to go to, but VTech Club also went on, and there's also like Stand Station Japan, and Tune Revolution out in Philly, but we're just going to mainly talk about the stuff that we actually attended. So, what's up, Yuta? How's everything going?
Everything's going well. My name is Yuta, apparently also known as Yuta.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, just, typically it's just Joey and I here, so this is kind of exactly what happens, but with more actual conversation.
Yeah, our podcast setup is literally just me sitting in front of my computer and Yuta sitting in front of his computer, just speaking into a mic.
Yeah,
Normally
which is kind of nice. It's probably good for like inter-office communication.
Instead of like screaming at each other from across the room.
Well, because often I've noticed that sometimes we'll go like an entire day with literally our only conversation being, "Hey, dude, you want something from Starbucks?"
Yeah.
And then, all right, I'm out later.
Yeah, you're gonna listen to your music, or I'll be on the TV looking at shit, or just doing random things. So.
Yeah.
Since I went to Spocom and you didn't go again this year, what exactly did you do?
Somehow, VTech Club, the summer Buttermillow event, always ends up landing on the same day as Spocom. Mm-hmm. I don't know why this keeps happening, but this is like the third year now.
Is it because they always book the exact same date every year?
Well, I think it has to do with, you know what? I think with both organizations. I think for Spocom and also for VTech Club, VTech Club obviously renting out Buttermillow.
Yeah. And
then Spocom renting out the Anaheim Convention Center. I think that you get seniority based on the date if you had rented it that date the previous year. Mm-hmm. So therefore, it's just really easy to keep repeating that same date. So, yeah, it just never seems to, it's always on the same day.
I think it probably works out the same way for the Anaheim Convention Center too.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Because anytime, like, if you look at Facebook, like, on this day or whatever, Spocom is, like, on that exact date, it seems like, or that exact same weekend. So I guess it makes sense why they always end up falling on the same day.
Right, so it's just one day ahead next time.
Yeah. You didn't go last year either, right?
I did go last year.
You did?
Was that last year? Yeah.
When everybody was super drunk?
I remember hanging out with Robert and Yuri.
Mm-hmm.
It's always... I think that's the main thing that I'm bummed about missing Spocom.
Yeah. Is
hanging out with Robert and Yuri.
Yeah. Well, they didn't show up till the end this year anyways, and then they were kind of lit already, so...
That's even better. They're super funny when they're...
How come you went last year? You didn't go to VTech Club? Or...
What was it, July?
We didn't bring any cars last year.
July... Either it miraculously didn't fall on the same day, or my EG was down, so I didn't drive anyways. I think, you know what? I had just put the Type R, the B18C in, and that car's cursed. So as soon as that engine went in, I think the trans took a shit. So I broke one of the springs, the retainer springs on one of the synchros, and then it wouldn't go into third anymore. So I think that had happened it happened almost immediately before Spocom. So the car was just down. So I just went to Spocom.
Okay, so, I guess it worked out then.
Yeah, and this year I didn't have any cars anyways, but...
Yeah, but you're running a booth and everything, right?
We're hosting the event.
Yeah.
The VTech Club Buttermillow event was the Battlecraft event for the year. That was... And I had just built the Black EK for that event.
Yeah, for your friend, right?
Yeah.
It was like a NorCal versus SoCal thing?
Yeah, it was NorCal versus SoCal. Since Buttonwillow is almost directly in between, say, San Francisco and Los Angeles. So we actually had a good amount of drivers come out from both regions, and it was really exciting to watch.
Did it
hot as hell?
Did it end up being even at the end, where it was just NorCal versus SoCal, or was it like a unproportional amount?
No, it was actually fairly even. Maybe like just because VTEC Club is mainly held in SoCal tracks, it wasn't like a 50-50 split, but I think a lot of people came out from NorCal, maybe like 30-40%.
It wasn't like the Toge stage thing, right? It was still individual classes.
Yeah, it was regular like time trial style, 5 different classes. There was no head-to-head battles.
Who do you think won out in the end, or do you know the
NorCal?
Oh, really?
Of course. Yeah, we have better drivers.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty crazy. Amir drove, right? You didn't drive?
Yeah, that's probably why NorCal won, because I wasn't there to
there to break shit.
to break them to pull them down.
Yeah.
Pull them down, is that the correct word? Bring them down?
Yeah, same thing, I guess.
Yeah, hold them back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Christian drive?
Christian did not drive at all.
He just hung out with you all day at the booth?
No, Christian was off doing VTEC Club stuff. He's always running around doing something.
Oh, like doing all the scoring and all that shit, fancy chalkboard things.
Don't know what he does, but I think it's important.
Driving the photographers around.
Probably stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like making sure everything is run smoothly. I was at the booth all day, but I mean, I had a bunch of help from actually Alex from Koyorad was there hanging out, and he just helped me run the booth.
Oh, nice.
So it was just me and him mostly, and then Mui was there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but...
So the car that you built for your friend, did he actually get to drive it?
He did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, we drove it there. We actually, like, it was a car that I had been working on and off, like, after hours here.
Yeah.
For about 3 weeks previous. I had picked it up around the beginning of July, and then the VTEC Club event was on the 22nd. So yeah, right about 3 weeks. It was pretty much a full build. It was full build in the way that I see it is probably very different from what you consider a full build. Mm-hmm. There was not a single panel was painted, so but in that sense, it was very much a street car before. Stock V18 C1 GSR engine, trans, kind of old suspension stuff, like semi gutted. It's like it was, and then everything was it was exactly what you'd expect from a car that he put together when he was in his teens. So I pretty much stripped everything down in terms of engine, transmission, wiring, suspension stuff, and then kind of just put everything back together. In the process, removing a lot of stuff that wasn't necessary. Air conditioning, he didn't want to retain that.
Yeah.
A lot of the under-dash wiring stuff. Just moved fuse boxes inside, consolidated a lot of the wiring, upgraded the brakes. Obviously, the engine trans setup was installed. That was out of my old EG, so it was fairly fresh. Like maybe 1,000 miles on that engine. 1,000 miles, 2 track days.
You put aero on it, right?
Huh?
Put aero on the car?
Yeah, it was a stout vented hood and Buddy Club front bumper. Built all the ducting for the radiator. He wanted to keep it half size, so we had to build ducting. We did a lot of the wiring in the engine bay, stuff like that. Just general stuff. I made a new exhaust for it, of course.
I don't think anybody's going to know what a stout hood is because we didn't even know prior.
It's kind of an obscure Japanese hood.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good quality. I like it.
It's like so obscure that nobody in America even made a copy of it.
Right, yeah.
Or no one in Japan even made a copy of it.
I don't think so.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Where did you even find that hood?
A engine importer in Sacramento had it.
Oh.
I guess they had just cut up one like a EK9 from Japan, and then they just kept all the body panels that were on it.
Was that the front end that had the Buddy Club front bumper on also?
Yeah, that was all complete front end.
Oh. Huh.
And Buddy Club front, Buddy Club sides, stout hood. It was an actual CTR that I came off of.
How long had they been holding on to that clip, I wonder, being that stuff's so old on it?
I have no idea. But, like Japanese people sometimes do that. They'll have a car, they'll build it, and they'll just kind of hang on to it for years and years and then never drive it, and then eventually just one day just throw it away.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so...
So, you're currently also working on your own car, right? I see. Every time I look in the back, you're always working on something. You want to tell everybody more about that thing?
Really?
Yeah, why not? It seems cool.
Okay. I don't know, like, late last year, our friend Ming, he has the Mode Parfume LS460. I know some people are better with cars than faces and names, so...
Oh, he used to run Standard Functions, I guess.
Oh yeah, he used to be the owner of Standard Functions, the Ruckus shop. He was really well known for his Y34 Q45.
Yeah.
M45, excuse me. Yeah. That was an M over here, right?
It's an M.
He mentioned to me that he had picked up a Civic a couple years ago, and it was a white four-door sedan, and that's kind of somehow become my thing. I don't know. I have like this weird weakness for white four-door sedans. Sorry, white Civic four doors. And he basically told me it had a lot of good parts on it. It was a car that one of his friends had put together, years ago. It had like a Mugen wing, twin loop, KWV ones, 5-lug, Type R brakes, Orthia interior, stuff like that. So he expressed interest in maybe having me part it out for him and just sell off all the parts and whatnot. And then so I figured if that's the case, then I'll just do him one better, and I'll just buy the car off of him at a set price, and then I'll do all the parting out, and I'll just be left with yet another white Civic. Yeah. So, and lately I haven't had like a designated daily driver. I've been kind of, I guess, rotating between the GS that me and Yasu share and my Chevy Express
with no AC.
Huh?
With no AC.
With no AC. It's literally a metal box with no AC.
Yeah.
A car that truck is the worst. But so I kind of figured I could, maybe end up with a daily driver for a very reasonable amount of money. So I just took all the parts off and just replaced everything with like other parts that I had lying around. So now it's a fairly normal white Civic sedan. It's just lowered right now. Currently it's on like 16-inch TEs. Very normal, or rather it's like very what we call, I guess, tire rack sizing. Mm-hmm. It's like the manufacturer recommended wheel and tire size. Yeah. It's coming along. Like the paint's good. Actually ended up putting a lot of time into polishing it. Mm-hmm. Brought the paint back. I'm actually surprised that it wasn't in such good shape. I think it might have had something to do with the amount of dust that was kind of protecting it. Yeah. Well, the car was sitting outside, right? Yeah. In the sun. It was sitting outside. Mm-hmm. But somehow it the paint was good. Mm-hmm. I honestly think it was so dirty that like the dust was actually blocking the sun. That's what I was hoping would be for my Odyssey, but I don't think that's the case. I think it just got worse. I actually think I could bring that paint back if you wanted me to. Yeah. But I know you have people who are better at that than I am, so. Yeah. I guess. Yeah, dude, I mean, like, I'm not saying I'm great at detailing cars or anything. I can do it. It's just like like anything else I do. It's like I can do it, but I'm not especially good at it. Mm-hmm. You're just manic enough to do it. I guess so. Yeah. Like my welds will hold, but they're not pretty. My bodywork is good enough, but it's not. It's definitely not. I like it wouldn't be like the level of finish that your like a specialist would have. Your Y33 is, for example. Yeah. Like I can mess with engine calibration a little bit, but it's not nearly like what Christian can do, like at all. Yeah, he's like a jack of all trades, master of none type of thing. Yeah. A master of absolutely none. Yeah. So you just picked up like a Wings West lip for it, which is pretty interesting. I don't know. I think it's like a. Wait, cool, are we really giving that away already? Yeah, I don't know. They don't know what they don't. Dude, half the people won't even know what the fuck this lip looks like. So. Okay. Okay. Well, then I guess I'll kind of go into that a little bit. Last year. Actually, just over a year ago, I ended up picking up Jonathan Wong's old daily, which was a black Civic sedan, and I decided to use that as my daily. And at that time, I kind of wanted to do I guess like the current hip term would be like a throwback car. Yeah. Like basically just put together a car using parts that I thought was really cool when I was a kid in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Since I didn't get to do that then, I kind of decided I'll try it out now. So I picked up some old wheels that I was able to find. I don't know if anybody's familiar with them, but NK Big End Zenkeis. Yeah, they're literally called NK Zenkeis. Yeah. But it's like a old turbine style wheel, 12 lug. It's interesting, but it's very, very late 90s. And then a Wings West W type front lip for now, APC mirrors. But I've always felt that my personal philosophy, I guess, a big part of it when it comes to putting cars together was that parts used, or in terms of parts selection, I've always felt that was a very small part of, I guess, the aesthetic appeal of a car. Yeah. And execution is 90% of it. So I kind of wanted to challenge myself. Not saying that I'm especially good at putting cars together or anything like that, but I just thought it was like a fun challenge for myself to try to put together a car using a certain parts from a certain era that are obviously not popular currently, and see if I can at least make it look good to myself. Yeah, well, I brought this up because it kind of suits the theme of the day that we're going to get into later, but yeah.
I mean, it's nice to be able to kind of put a car together, I guess, with a certain type of theme, and doing something like a throwback build, I think is pretty cool, especially for someone like you who kind of missed out on a big chunk of those days in the Honda scene and stuff when it was more about execution and stuff more so than the part selection. So
When was that?
like early 2000s, late 90s, you know, when everyone was doing all the crazy stuff, that was more about execution than anything, you know.
Oh,
like,
hell yeah.
yeah. So
Like Freddy's Baby Blue DA.
yeah, the Blue's Clues car.
Yeah. Yeah, back when Auto Explosion was raking in millions.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that later.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So while you were at VTech Club, I was at Spocom, joining around there, and I had brought my Q45 out there because I didn't get a chance to bring it out to WeekFest LA. Once I got back from San Jose, the car kind of just sat at IDL for a while, and then they had been kind of cleaning it on and off and maintaining it, and then I finally picked it up in the morning. It's that Saturday morning with the show, and then I brought it over to the show, and I got there around 8:30 a.m. Mind you, the show starts like at 4 p.m. and then doesn't end until 10. So like if you take into account that you have to get all the cars out of the building, that mean that you're pretty much at the show from 8:30 a.m. until like 11 p.m., which is quite a long time to be at anything. So I brought the car out there, and then Auto Fashion had this crazy display, and dude, I haven't seen them do this display since like, I don't know, when they first started, like 2004, 2005-ish.
Oh, wow.
With the huge truss, and then like the LED screen, and I don't know, it was crazy. I don't know what made him go that crazy to put something like that together, but I'm glad that he did, because it made everyone look better, because just having our cars in that display just made everything look really cool at the show. And it was like bar none the biggest display at the show this year, which was really cool.
Just from photos, it honestly looked like a SEMA display.
Yeah, dude, like it took like an hour for them to... It took over an hour for them to take it apart, and Freddie told me that when they were putting that display together, they pretty much spent the entire afternoon putting it together, and then the Anaheim Convention Center didn't really have AC during the setup day on Friday, so it was like horrendous, and they were just dying.
Wow.
Yeah, but they got it all together. It was really cool. But I was kind of like, you know how a couple of days before that we had kind of hosted Rob from Seattle with this crazy Barris Evo and all that stuff.
Right.
And this guy is just like, I mean, if you guys don't know Rob probably because he's from Washington, and like he's not from Cali, so he's not like a big Instagram guy or whatever, but he's like somebody that's like super passionate about his car, and then like he's super proud of it, and then, you know, like I guess you can say that he kind of, the way he talks about his car, you can like, people can say that it kind of rubs him the wrong way. And I've talked about that to Rob, you know, and he understands that, you know. He's just a guy that's really into his cars. And then so he needed to install some parts, and then I wasn't gonna like let him install some parts out in his hotel parking lot in the fucking blazing sun in California. So I was like, hey, just use the shop, you know. We have shade here, and then we have access to like tools if you needed it. And then it was just overall a better idea than just putting like thousands of dollars of aero onto your car in the blazing heat in the hotel. So we hosted him, and then I got to talk to him a little bit more and got to know him. I was supposed to shoot his car for Super Street, and he'd been bugging me about it for a couple months now. He'd been messaging me on Facebook and stuff, and then I was like, yeah, sure, well, I'll try to get it done when you come down here for Spocom, because I didn't get to do it when we went up to Seattle because I just didn't have time. So he brought his car down, and then I ended up not even shooting the fucking thing. So
Really?
No, dude, because we were so busy, and then like we had to kind of like manage to find a location to shoot his car at, and then like we were really pushing for a cover, you know, so I had to figure out how to get a cover shot. And then with Spocom going on and him putting the car together in the days before that, I just didn't have time.
Oh.
So I got to do some detail shots out here in the back of the shop with like engine bay and stuff like that, but I honestly don't even think it's going to suit the car or the shoot if we shoot it again. I'm pretty against like shooting cars like out of their natural habitat. So since he's from Washington, and Washington's such a beautiful place, it just feels weird shooting his car in California, you know, like especially in locations that have like been done over and over again, like GMR or like Angeles Crest or wherever, you know. So I was just like
that spot by the bridge in Los Angeles.
Yeah, downtown LA, you know. So I don't want to do that. So I was like, you know what? Like, we'll do the detail shots today, and if it doesn't work out, then I'll just use these for my own use, you know? Because either way, they're going to be good photos. And then I was like, when I go back to Seattle next month, we'll shoot it then, you know? After talking to Rob, and then I was like, after Spocom went on, and I actually stayed the entire day, by the way. I had left maybe like an hour or two just to go to downtown Disney to go eat with Tiffany at Earl of Sandwich.
Aw, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so you missed out on that. But it was blazing hot anyway. So we left there for a little bit.
I had like half of a pupusa that somebody had brought back. And I'm pretty sure the cheese was
the
bad.
famous buttonwheel of pupusas.
Dude, so when they're fresh, they're great.
Yeah.
But man, I think it was cheese and it had been sitting out for a little bit.
Did you get sick?
I didn't get sick, but I felt like shit. Well, I mean, I felt like shit the whole day, but
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So when I was at Spocom, like I kind of walked around the whole day. I didn't really do much. I kind of took pictures and shit, and then I just kind of hung out with random people that were coming in and out during the day. And then like while I was posting the photo coverage up, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, dude, what makes me want to like hang out at Spocom the entire fucking day? You know, like I could be at home sleeping or watching TV or relaxing somewhere, and then I was thinking about Rob and like his attitude towards his car and how proud he is and how he's like him and like those guys from R Rights are like super competitive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They really want awards and then they go to these shows like to compete, you know? Whereas we usually just go to the car shows just to fuck around. Like we don't give a shit about winning, you know? And then half the time we're judging car shows now anyways.
I haven't had a car to bring to a car show in like my entire life.
Since Hot Junkyard Nights.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just deceiving people and somehow like sneaking a car in.
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
Yeah, so I was like...
I respect them for it though, honestly.
It's a great thing, like what they're doing. They love it, and then people are competitive in like by nature, you know? So doing car show stuff is what they're into, so more power to them.
And to be completely honest, it was a concept that I honestly had no idea about, or rather, I was familiar with the existence of competitive show cars, but I didn't really know how that worked. Maybe it's just ignorance on my part, and I never really looked into how that was even possible. And then Don, actually, when I was working with him, Don Vo over at Tanabe,
Yep.
when we worked together, he actually like explained everything to me and like why things were important, how it works. And then from then, I think I've had a little bit more of an appreciation towards these cars that I don't quite personally maybe like relate to on like any
Like
more
cars,
so than like a surface level.
cars that are like built to win type of thing.
Yeah, sometimes I'll be at a car show and I'll definitely see a car that I really like. But they never seem to win.
Yeah, this is different strokes, man. You know.
Yeah.
But we just come from different backgrounds.
I think I kind of get it.
Yeah. So I was thinking, I was like, what makes me still enjoy hanging out at a car show for like, what was it, like 12 hours? And like I'll spend an entire day there, and then I was just thinking. I was thinking about Rob and then the Spocom and then how their judging system is with the points and everything and how competitive people are about it. And I was literally thinking about it for a couple of days. I was like, what's my motivation, you know? Because like tend to get tired and burned out by stuff, especially by the middle of the year. And then every year we go to Spocom and it's literally just a hangout session for us, you know, and we just walk around and stare at cars that we already see all the time. And I was thinking, I was like, Spocom is pretty much like the last remnants of like the old style of car shows that I enjoyed going to when I was a kid, you know?
So it's nostalgic for you.
Yeah, it has that little bit of it still has that feel to it, even though things are very different these days. Whereas like people go to these shows and they have like full displays and
velvet ropes and mirrors.
Yeah,
I don't really see that at WeekFest.
Yeah, people at WeekFest don't do full displays, you know? And if they do, there's maybe like only one or two of them.
Okay.
So WeekFest kind of represents like the new generation or next stage of car show stuff, whereas Spocom is very still traditional in every sense. And then I was like...
You know, I think I have noticed that sometimes I get a little bit more of a vibe from like the people who... Because it is honestly, it seems to be a pretty different, I guess, type of enthusiast that attends one or the other. With WeekFest, I noticed that a lot of these, well, at least some of the people that I've encountered are... just like super, they're very cool in the sense that they're there and they have their car, but you know they're not too worried about it, or you know they don't really, you know, they're just cool. And it's like, but in a sense where they're very, to me personally, it seems like they're very concerned about being cool. Whereas at Spocom, at least the 1 year that I did attend, I noticed that a lot of these people are constantly like making sure that their displays that they actually spend a lot of time putting together are perfect and like constantly wiping down their cars. And I've noticed that it's maybe a different type of, you know, maybe it's almost a different generation perhaps, when it was like when people weren't too worried about like...
Yeah, a lot of these guys are older, the guys that are very like competitive and prideful and take a lot of pride and put a lot of energy into putting their cars together for these shows.
I respect that because their work, they have their work on display.
Yeah.
And they're making sure that product that they created is in perfect, I guess, in perfect shape. And so they don't care. They don't seem to care if somebody wants to laugh at them because they're wiping their car down for, a combined 6 hours that day.
Yeah, it's like a different type of like fanaticism or whatever,
Yeah, because their car is like the product of their work speaks for itself. That's just my personal little take on that.
Yeah, they're just a different type of people. Think of it that way. Where like we've kind of built cars that are just like more street cars or whatever, and cars that we enjoy. Whereas these guys are putting together like showpieces.
Yeah.
So I think Spocom kind of represents that old age of competitive car show stuff, And I was thinking about like guys like Rob, and I was like, Rob can come off like very prideful of his car, and then like some would even say that he's a little arrogant about it, And if you ask him about it, he knows that his car is nice, and he knows that he's there to compete, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. I admire his passion. But Rob like his attitude and the way he is pretty much every single person I used to hang out with when I was little.
Oh, really?
That when I was getting into the car show scene, every person that I hung out with, we all did shows like that at that time. Everyone kind of talks to each other in like a friendly way, but they're not exactly always friendly, There's always like this little bit of competitiveness like in between people at shows. So it's very interesting to talk to Rob because he is very much like a lot of those people that I grew up knowing in the car show scene. Because when I was getting into cars, all I knew was car shows. Like competitive car shows, import show off, like they would have 3 judges per car. They would go everything by point system. And like the point system is flawed, but I'll get into that some other time. I don't think it works these days.
Okay.
Yeah, just because styles have evolved and things have changed, So it's a system that still works in some ways for certain cars, and these are the type of cars where they fit into those categories,
Okay, so like that system probably wouldn't work at another show, like say maybe it wouldn't work as well as at Weekfest, but for this show...
It definitely doesn't work.
Okay, so this is like the last remaining show that everything down to the scoring system is still pretty much unchanged from...
Yeah, it hasn't changed. It's judged by a group of people that are brought in specifically to judge the show. It's like a team, like a business, And Tuner Revolution is like that too. Or actually, I don't know. I think they changed this year because I heard a lot of rumblings about things that changed this year.
Which one is Tuner Revolution again?
Tuner Revolution is an East Coast show from Philly, run by a guy named Jay Martinez.
Oh, okay. It's East Coast. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
sense. His show used to be run on a system called eJudge, which is like a fucking application.
It's a computer system.
Yeah, it's an app that people...
Oh.
That old car guys created specifically for car shows.
Huh.
Like you buy this thing, you pay for it, and then you take a picture of the car, and then you grade it by category, and you do points, and you punch in all these numbers. It's a numbers game, and then that's how they score. Yeah, it's just easier than doing clipboard stuff or whatever, So these guys came up with this genius idea to judge car shows based on the system, and it works.
Don did explain that to me, how it's based on like points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just think that I had somebody ask me at Spocom, he's like, how come we don't see that many Honda guys competing at a show like Spocom? And I was like, that's a very easy explanation. Because Honda guys don't build for points. Most of them don't anyways, So you don't see that many Hondas at a Spocom show because Honda guys don't do audio all the time. They're more into engine bay stuff, and then they'll cut their interiors, so they don't do interiors, and then they won't get any points for audio or interior, because they're competing against a guy that's building full cars.
Okay, so what you're saying is that, for example, what I do see in a lot of, I guess, show Hondas is, like, for example, Mike's car, the RCG, blue EM1 SI.
Yeah.
Parts, it's technically gutted, but, like, the entire interior, in terms of metal paneling, like, the OEM metal paneling has been smoothed out.
But people don't notice that, like...
And then, like, not only is it painted, it's painted, cut, and buffed.
Yeah, it's who like buffs a completely gutted interior, like that's been resprayed.
I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, so
but that wouldn't get you any points.
No, they would win at Weekfest, but they would be left down the cold.
No, like in the point system, like that wouldn't actually get you any points.
No, either that, I don't know if they have adjusted at all, but I don't think that works because of that. Like a car like Ryan's Integra. You know, it doesn't have interior. It has some interior. It has a custom dashboard, but it doesn't have audio, and it doesn't have like, I don't know. Like,
Oh, okay, so it's like kind of like like a preset criteria. It's like, are the seats reupholstered? And it's like, well, it doesn't apply because there's no back seats, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then the Ride-Wire Integra is
So therefore,
like,
it's zero.
it's an amazing car. Like, you could put it at any type of show, and it should win just based on type of technology that it has and the way it's built and the quality of work.
Yeah.
But you would lose to a guy like Rob because his car is equally as amazing, and then he also has audio and stuff like that. So you don't see Honda guys going to shows like Spocom because they know they don't win. And then if you go to WeekFest, you have a dedicated judge for the Honda Accurate class that understands Hondas.
That's you.
Yeah. So you would have to base it more on like be subjective.
Huh.
And a lot of people don't believe in the idea of subjectivity in judging cars, but that's kind of like, where do you find middle ground between subjectivity and a point system? A point system, you could say like a guy with like fake wheels or rep wheels and like replica parts would technically beat out a car like Ryan's car because it has audio.
This
actually happened before.
Wait, this is like a true or false kind of thing? It's like wheels. Are they present?
Yeah, no, they grade you on like cleanliness of the wheel and like
cleanliness.
Yeah,
as in like, is it dusty?
Mm-hmm.
Not like, is it like
like at import show off back then? One of the main things was like the judge would like put his hands under the fender to see if it was dirty, like that type of judging, you know. And that's a very old school type of way of looking at things, you know, because like
very Barrett Jackson.
Yeah, you understand the cleanliness of the car, but it's like obviously, like how you can't even do that these days because everyone's fucking chopping up their fenders and shit. You're gonna cut your fingers. You try to put your fingers into these cars.
You know, it's funny. Right now, my Civic,
Uh-huh.
the inside of the fenders are hella clean.
Yeah, see, but so you would get points for that. So
I'll make sure to roll my fenders right before every show.
Yeah, so like Ryan brought his car out one year, his EA.
Show.
He brought his AT Civic out, you know, and that thing's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, the white one.
Yeah, he took it out to Spocom and he lost to another guy just because the other guy had more stuff, you know? And it's like, that's how it shows that the system doesn't work. But I guess it's like...
So just having more stuff.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you're into, you know? Like a lot of guys that go to Spocom won't go to WeekFest and then vice versa because they just see judging differently, and that's okay. But I just wanted to bring it up because when I was growing up, everyone that I knew was into this whole system. There was even a organization called the NCCA where you would get a membership card. Like if you did hot import nights and stuff, you would accumulate points, and then people used to bring their cars all over the country. Like if you were like a top tier car like Rob's or whatever, if you brought it throughout the country and you competed at these events, you would accumulate points for it. And then eventually, like if you got to this certain status and towards the end of the year, if you had the most points, you would be like the national champion or whatever, and you would get money for it. So it was a pretty cool system. It was very weird because like you're only going to get like less than a handful of guys that are willing to bring their cars all over the country, especially back in early 2000, you know. I
think that still happens with like vintage or classic historic car shows, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's still the case, right?
Yeah, it works for those guys, like hot rodders and like lowrider shows and stuff. Like I get that the whole point system works for those guys.
Okay.
Because everyone's generally building their cars to that same type of style, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Back in the days like that, we had this NCCA system. It's still used in Indonesia, by the way. Like when I went out there last year to Jakarta, they were still using that system. They even like acknowledged the fact that NCCA exists, and this thing like
does it still exist?
No, it doesn't. It went away like fucking like over 10 years ago.
Oh, there's nobody sitting at this long table in a dark
nobody does this
corridor.
Anymore. Yeah, so
judging car shows.
Yeah, so, I was thinking what makes me want to stay at these car shows all day long, and then I was like, dude, when I was younger, like that's all I did. Especially like when I first started going to car shows, like when I was in high school, I like didn't know anybody that had built cars or anything. I was just into cars just because I saw them in magazines. Like I went to Import Show Off in 1999, and like I went from the very start of the show and I stayed until the very end, just floating around staring at things, because you know like there's always going to be something to look at.
Oh, dude, me too.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's, I guess the era might be a little bit different, but like the Jay's Gathering and then later the WeekFest shows.
Yeah.
I would go to just look, and I would most of the time stay all day.
Yeah. Like I would hang out at the show all day long, and then I would have my backpack you just collect flyers. I don't know why you would collect catalogs and stuff because we didn't do anything with them, ever.
No, that's cool. Like, I actually understand why, because it's something to look at before you have internet. It's just like you're like laying in your bed and then you just kind of reach over and you look at like fucking catalog.
Yeah, I don't remember ever looking at anything after I brought it back home though. Like,
oh really?
Yeah.
I actually used to read through Summit Racing and Jegs catalogs. I shit you not.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I might have been. I might not be normal.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I actually still have all these flyers.
You still have them?
Yeah.
Wow.
At my house in San Diego, because I just never threw away shit, especially car stuff.
Okay.
Because I don't know, for whatever reason, I thought that someday they would be relevant again, so I would hold on to them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I'd go to this car show with my high school friend. He wasn't even into cars. Like, he tried his goddamn hardest to understand cars, but he wasn't into them. He only went to them because he knew that I like cars and there were bitches there. Because he was really into import models back then was like a very different thing. Like, they're not like.
Would he go to hit on them or?
No, he would just go stare or
Oh yeah, again before the internet.
Yeah, before the internet, you couldn't stare at girls online back then. You had to go stare at them in person.
Right, and it's probably a little bit more acceptable there than say like downtown San Diego.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So yeah, so we'd go to those car shows, and then Import Show Off '99 was the first time I'd ever seen a Skyline before, like an R34 Skyline.
Okay.
And it blew my mind that this Blitz R34 was in the States, and I was standing right in front of it, and I honestly didn't even know what the fuck I was looking at. It was just, now that I look back on it now, I can appreciate the moment that I got to see this stuff, but like I really wish I had known more back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like I just kind of took it for granted, but I guess I was there, and the fact that I even took pictures of it was really interesting, because I had my mom's film camera, and then I would take pictures of everything very poorly. I didn't understand photography back then. I didn't even know what type of film to buy.
You were a child.
Yeah, I was a child. I didn't study photography.
What do you expect?
I don't know, man. Some people that are naturals these days, you just see they're like producing amazing photos like with their phones, and they know how to frame things, but that's probably just because they've seen plenty of examples.
Right, yeah.
So I didn't know what the fuck I was doing back then. I was just like, I guess I go to Spocom because I really appreciate that like excitement that was there when I was younger. I could just be at a show all day and walk around and enjoy it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and a lot of it's like, since I've been working the industry so long, I think I kind of lose that a lot, and I think that's why I go to Spocom every year, is because it still gives me a little bit of that excitement that I can just kind of hang out at a show and they'll just be like, I don't know, things were very fun back then.
I get it.
Yeah,
everything was new, exciting.
Mm-hmm.
You would learn so much every time you like went and you were in this environment.
Mm-hmm. Like,
so much inspiration. I get it.
Yeah,
it's something that you definitely hit a plateau.
Yeah. I still remember the first time I ever saw an S2000.
Okay.
I think it was at an import show off. It was like a brand new S2000. They had just released it. Like, the dealership had a booth.
Oh wow!
It was a silver S2000. I was like, oh cool, man.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So who knew that car would just be so crazy these days with popularity and stuff? But I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's definitely, in my opinion, the car of like the last couple decades.
Yeah, I wish I could kind of go back and relive those years, and just things were very cool back then. What I really liked about car shows back then was that things never felt stagnant. Everything felt incredibly new still, and then anytime you would go to a car show, you would feel like there was something new going on, because it was during a transitional time when everyone was doing like headlight conversions and huge body kits and crazy stuff, and I honestly really miss those times.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Like, it would seem so cheesy these days if these things happen now, but that whole like headlight conversion, taillight conversion, body kit era is today's bolt-on body flare thing that we're experiencing right now, and
is it though?
It is, in that it's one of those things where it's like not everyone likes it, but we're just stuck in this period of time where everyone has to deal with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I guess even back then there were a lot of people who were very much into, like, instead of putting like a Cali Type R front end on their Integra, they would go through probably a lot of trouble to find like a Japanese front end. Yeah. Something like that.
Well, I mean, even that whole era, it got to the point where it was oversaturated. Like, people just started doing all kinds of stupid shit to cars. And then, I think when it first started, people had a general idea of what it was supposed to look like when they were putting these, like, say, like, they would put Eclipse headlights onto an Integra. Like,
Okay.
I think they had a specific vision of what they wanted, but then once that whole thing got really popular, anytime something gets popular, it just gets blown out of proportion and gets out of hand, you know? Like at one point I think I saw an Eclipse with like Lincoln Town Car headlights on it.
Okay, so it got to the point where people were doing things just to do them.
Yeah, it was just absurd. Like everyone just wanted to do better, you know, than the next guy. And I mean that just comes with competition. But I think right now we're kind of in that situation.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and
that's
like,
why you'll see Liberty Walk style flares on a Dodge Caravan or something.
Yeah, like we saw an RSX at Spocom. It had bolt-on flares, and then he had a Rocket Bunny chalked onto his tires, and it was clearly not a Rocket Bunny kit, you know. But it didn't hurt the fact that he tried, and some people would probably believe it, you know. Like I don't know, it was one of those things where
I guess as long as he believes it.
Yeah, and I think if you have a lot of cars that have a lot of the same stuff, that's when creativity comes into play, and I think that's what made things back then so fun.
Okay.
Because there weren't that many different varieties of cars back then when you were doing the import stuff. You had your Hondas, your Civics and Integras, your Accords. Actually, there's a shit ton of Accords being built back then, which is really cool. Because
it was an incredibly available car.
Yeah, they're like college kid cars, or high school kid cars, you know?
Yeah.
You were just given those cars, and you could just do whatever you want to them.
Okay.
Nowadays, you have like the FRS or whatever, like 8th gen Civic that people get as hand-me-downs, and they're building those things.
That must be nice.
Yeah, doesn't that seem crazy, you know? But yeah, back then you didn't have that many options. You had a Civic Integra, and then you had 240SXs, and then I don't know, just like random things here and there. But the most popular cars were obviously Civics and Integras. Okay. And with no availability of parts, what else did people do back then? They just got creative. And they started doing these conversions, and then people didn't know that much about JDM stuff at the time or parts from Japan, so they were just doing the things just based purely off of creativity, you know?
Walk into the local store and then, buy stuff, and then, or even like go to the junkyard, pick up stuff, start welding, doing body work, that kind of thing.
You would just think of weird things to do, and I think that's what we're missing a lot of these days, is that creativity aspect is gone now, because back then people did things creatively to kind of stand out. Now people want to do the same thing because they want to be as popular as the next guy, because they've seen that guy has a formula to success and they want to follow it and be just as successful or emulate that success.
And by success you mean
Instagram fame or social media fame, you know?
Oh.
And that creativity is I think is very much lacking these days. And I think that's why it's kind of important to kind of go to these shows sometimes and then see what's going on. And then the top tier guys, they may not necessarily be as creative as you would think that some of the older guys were back then, but they're still doing things that set themselves apart, you know? And they're still quality work. I think we're missing a lot of that creativity and quality of craftsmanship that kind of existed back then, or creative, like, I don't know how to put it, but everyone was doing things, and there was like no knockoff parts, so you couldn't just go out. I mean, there were some, but to the point where it was so minimal that you didn't even know that they were knockoffs when you bought them. Like people go out and buy knockoff shit now. They know it's knockoff shit.
Right.
They don't have any idea that it could be real. You know, they know it's fake.
Unless they're like completely clueless.
Yeah, and unless you're completely new to the scene.
Right.
But if you're buying knockoff shit now, you're going into it knowing that you're saving money and buying this knockoff shit, you know? Back then, people didn't have that many options, so they had to get creative, which was really cool, you know?
Okay.
And people like to laugh at that style now, but it's like, if you really put it into perspective, those are some of the best times in terms of creative car building, because people were doing full interiors back then. People were, like a lot of people, you can gut interiors now because they want that race car look, you know? But I also think a lot of people gut their interiors now because they don't want to do anything to their interiors, you know? Like, it's kind of a shortcut in its own way. That's why you only see guys with, like, gutted cars who, like you said, like Mike's car, where it was filled and shaved and buffed and stuff. That's quality work for a gutted interior.
That's more work than reupholstering.
Yeah. So back then, everyone like reupholstered stuff, and then everybody pretty much had custom paint. You know, like if you're gonna do something to your car, you're gonna paint it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you had a variety of body kits, and then I guess you can say a lot of the body kit stuff was knockoff stuff because everyone just started copying the body kits.
Yeah, like everybody had a Buddy Club bumper on every single car ever, or a Blitz style bumper.
Yeah, the Blitz front bumper on the Eclipse that was originally meant for a Supra was like probably the best Eclipse kit ever. You know. I
have to agree. or even better, putting the lower half of a stock A80 Supra bumper on every single car.
Yeah.
You could have the bottom half of a Supra bumper on a Civic, Integra. Fuck, you could a Cavalier.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, yeah. People were. I mean, there weren't that many people building Cavaliers. As hard as Japan tried to push that fucking car, nobody was building them over here still. You know. Like.
Well, I mean, like there are companies out here that just like that have that mold of the bottom half of a Supra bumper, and they're putting it on everything.
Yeah, dude. And to think that one of the most popular body kits back then, the Black Widow kit, was based off a body kit from a fucking Aristo. You know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy? So, like, you know, the body kit era was a very interesting time, and it's funny to think back on those times now because, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I really wish that, you know, like, styles come and go, and then people think that, like fashion, where, like, all of a sudden now 90s streetwear is popular again with this generation. It's like, I don't want to say that I want to see that whole taillight conversion era with the body kits, whatever, come back, but it'd be really cool to see. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, like
I think so too.
I wish like a lot of guys like you who are a little bit younger, like got to experience those times.
Yeah, I didn't quite almost, you know, like there was hot import nights in San Mateo that I went to a couple times. You know, when I was in junior high, I think that was about as much as I experienced.
Yeah, right.
And honestly, at that time, I didn't have enough experience to really go through and figure things out and like look at a car and like. Really understand what had gone into it.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Like, what year was that, you think, when you were in junior high?
2002?
2002?
2001?
Yeah, so you were right around that time.
But that was, you know, in the Bay Area, you know, it probably wasn't anything like it was out here.
Yeah, it didn't fluctuate as much. Or it didn't flourish as much, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, around 02 to, like, 05-ish was when that whole, like, shift happened already.
Okay.
Like, by, like, late 02, it was already sort of weird to have, like, a headlight conversion on your car. So a lot of people were ditching those, and then all the Japanese stuff really started coming in at that time.
Right.
And then drifting came in, like, 04. And then everyone adapted to that kind of style, too. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, I think we're just kind of in a weird place right now. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm sitting back and kind of appreciating it for what it is. You know, I like the Rocket Bunny stuff, and I like the Liberty Walk stuff, but... You know, at the end of the day, we're starting to see a lot of the same stuff. Like, at Spocom, you see, like, a shit ton of, like, Rocket Bunny FRSs. The only thing different about them is what color they are.
Right.
Yeah. And that was, like, when I went to, like, an Extreme Auto Fest, like, in 2001. Literally every single car there had a Buddy Club bumper.
Just different colors?
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, it's interesting to see where things are going to go, but I like going to Spocom still because... it still has a little bit of that nostalgic feel. Like, Spocom hasn't changed. Like, it's funny because throughout the day, people were like, oh, man, it's like, what do you think of the show? I'm like, I don't know. It seems like every other fucking Spocom, you know? I like it. I'm hanging out. And then people would come up to me and like, it seems like foot traffic is a lot better this year, you know? I was like, yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Like, I don't even remember what the fuck I ate for lunch last week, so how am I supposed to remember what foot traffic was like for somebody's show, you know? So I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, man, it seems really cool. But, you know, people were like, why did you stay the whole day? Are you crazy? Like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know. It's like free AC. And like, it's a whole day where I'm not paying for AC at the shop.
Well, whether you like it or not, your entire life revolves around cars.
Yeah, so I don't...
So, like, why wouldn't you be there?
Yeah. If I have an opportunity to just hang out at a car show, I would probably choose that over pretty much a lot of things. Because that's what I've been doing since I was a kid, you know?
It's not like it's, like, physically strenuous. You're hanging out.
Yeah, I literally just walked around with Starbucks the whole day staring at cars, whereas normally on a day-to-day basis, I'd just be sitting down, drinking Starbucks, and looking at cars online.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's a chance to mingle with friends and stuff, but it was like, yeah, well, like, during that period when I was going to car shows a lot more when I was younger, can you imagine I went to more car shows than I did now? Like, I was at every car show, dude. Like, San Diego also had a lot more shows back then, too.
There was probably more car shows, period.
Yeah, because Import Show Off was huge back then. They would do a couple shows in LA. And then the San Diego one was crazy because it used to be in Del Mar. So it was like, you know how you have one standard convention hall now? The Del Mar Fairgrounds, they had pretty much an Import Show Off show that was 3 buildings.
Wow.
They would also have cars outside. That's how big the scene was back then. And you went to the street races. Dude, it was fucking madness, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I miss those days, and Spocom kind of is a little bit of a reminder of that. I get to see my friends that actually have friends now, because back then I didn't really have any friends that were into cars, so it's completely unrelatable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess there's one thing that I really do miss about the car scene is that I miss that underground aspect of it. Things were very like not developed then. Everything was really raw. People could generally get away with a lot more shit because there was no media attention on it now, you know?
Right.
Once the Fast and the Furious started, it changed everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it commercialized everything. Car shows became a family event. Before that, dude, car shows were not for kids, man.
Right.
Like the first Hot Import Nights I went to, I remember there's a rumor in my high school going around that you couldn't get into the show unless you were 18. And I was like, that's preposterous. Like, even as a kid, I thought that was dumb. But then I was like, well, it's a show that goes on until midnight.
Right.
And then you think that national curfew or whatever is like 10 o'clock, you know? So people would be like, oh, how did you stay out so late, you know? So, I mean, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but everything was so much more raw back then. Like, you would have, like, bikini contests where girls would just get naked. Like, it's retarded. And then now, it's like, if you see a girl walking around with, like, fishnets on and her asking, you're like, man, what are you doing? It's a family event, you know? It's so weird to think that way now. And then, like, all your friends have kids now and shit. You're like, oh, my God, your kids are going to see this shit, you know?
Right.
Yeah, but I guess the commercialization really changed the way everything... I think that was the huge shift before social media came around and then created its own wave, you know? So it's very interesting to see how the import scene has developed from the underground scene.
So, like, there were 3 distinct stages.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, there was the underground stage, and then before the car show stage, there was the drag racing scene.
Right.
And then that turned into the car show thing, and then Fast and the Furious came around, and then it became the commercialization of the scene.
Right.
And then now we're in the social media era, and you're experiencing that full force right now. I don't know how much crazier it's going to get with social media, but, dude, like, it changed everybody's mentality of things, you know? Whereas the Fast and the Furious brought in a whole new crop of people, social media has, in its own way, kind of shifted mindset of how people go about doing things.
So sometimes when I talk about cars with older guys like Benson or Steve Nakamura, for example, or Scott Tanahashi.
Yeah, Scott's a good guy to talk to. He's seen it all, so
right.
Yeah.
They're always like, you know, like they're like, oh man, the Fast and the Furious, despise that movie, you know, that like ruined everything.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm just like, well, I mean, that's kind of like one of the reasons, you know, why I'm here talking to you today.
Yeah, because you didn't really get into cars until that either, right?
Because in 2001 I was 12.
Yeah, so it was like a huge turning point for your generation, yeah.
And now I'm here, and to be completely honest with you, social media to me is like I feel like I can't really get into it.
Now you're the old man.
And yeah, and like what it's doing to like the way cars are being built, like the general feel of like being around car enthusiasts has definitely changed since social media became so popular.
Yeah.
And now I am that old man, and I'm just like over here, just like I don't know. I'm gonna attempt to be a little bit more hating on hashtags and such.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you have to include the whole Japan shift too. I guess that caused a rift in the scene too, in the way things. I mean, but in the bigger scheme of things, it didn't really change that much for people.
That's happening again.
Yeah.
You know, like when Japanese parts actually became available in the U.S. And now the whole, I guess I don't want to say amalgamation. It's like this, like the mixing of cultures.
Yeah.
That is like, I guess that's the equivalent now, where you can look at a random Japanese person's car on social media, and I mean that person didn't need any kind of print media coverage or anything. This person doesn't have to be a professional driver. You just stumble across their page, and then you look at all the stuff that they've done to their car, and they're probably doing the same thing over here. And I think that's that whole, I guess, intercultural international stuff is very interesting.
Yeah, it's almost, you kind of think of it like the way like human beings are too, culturally.
Okay.
Whereas people have very distinct ethnicities back then. But you know, as the world grew, there was more mixed races because people started, you know, from different backgrounds kind of got together, and then they created something completely different and unique, you know.
Right.
And it's kind of like that with cars now too. But I think those are still like smaller shifts. Right. Whereas the Fast and the Furious changed everything.
Oh.
And I remember the night after I watched the first Fast and the Furious movie, I was walking out of the theater and I turned to my friend and I was like, we're fucked, dude. We as car guys, we won't even be able to drive our cars anymore to go to the movies because everyone's gonna get into cars now, and everyone's gonna be a fucking asshole. They're gonna try to race you, and then like and I had no idea that it was gonna drag on for like fucking like 8-9 movies or whatever it's gonna be.
Yeah.
But obviously it's not a car movie anymore.
Right.
But those first 3 movies, I think, man, it changed everything. It commercialized everything, and then I guess, like, as much as I hated the idea of the Fast and the Furious and how it brought in so many new people to the car scene back then, I guess I also have to really appreciate it, because had it not been for that shift or the commercialization of the car industry, I don't think I would be where I am today.
Yeah, we wouldn't be working here.
Yeah.
Like this.
Mm-hmm.
The whole import modifying industry.
Yeah.
Probably would have died off.
Yeah, it like normalized car stuff.
Yeah.
And as much as like there's still cops everywhere or whatever, like pulling people over for doing car shit or dude, it is not nearly as bad now as it was back when we were younger.
Right.
Because back then it was very much like a legal thing, like what are you doing in your car? Like now it's like cops are just like, oh, it's another one of those Fast and Furious kids,
Yeah.
like, so I mean, I appreciate it for what it is, and then it's crazy to think that I was able to experience those distinct periods. The social media thing kind of crept up on us because it was so gradual.
Yeah, that was. There wasn't a movie about it. I mean, there was,
Mm-hmm.
but
yeah. But like social media, like in the beginning, it was just like it didn't seem like it was anything that crazy, and I wonder if there was any like turning point where someone turned to their friend and was like, "Oh my God, things are going to be different now because social media is here." I wonder if people recognized that shift, or if it was so gradual for everybody in the way that the internet and social media was kind of like, I don't know, seamlessly embedded into our lives,
Yeah, I don't know what it was, because it's not like it's a new idea. I mean, like, remember Car Domain?
Yeah.
Like, that was a thing.
Do you remember Online Show Off?
Nope.
Dude, OnlineShowOff.com was super cool. It was like Car Domain, but like with personality. It was like created by some guy. I think he was friends with like the guys like Mike Chang and them from Evasive.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. And it was like a MySpace page for cars before there was even such a thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then eventually I think it grew into something bigger, and then it sold off, and then it died off. But I don't know. I think a lot of people will remember that. But it was also like, I think it was before your time also. Maybe a couple years before that. So
right.
Yeah. But I guess like, I don't know. I guess people build their cars. A lot of people build their cars, and they do these things to their cars because they want that attention, and social media helps them feed into it, It's like with everything else, like import models or Instagram models and stuff like that. It feeds into that part of your brain, It's
You
great.
mean everybody on Instagram?
Yeah.
Everybody on Instagram is a model?
Uh-huh.
Alright.
It's one of those things that even if you don't want to admit that you do it for other people, like, you're still doing it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It's a subconscious thing. And people love to complain about it, but, it is what it is. And the way the internet and social media changed everything, as far as the magazine industry and print industry goes too, is really crazy, because I wonder if, like, the publishing companies knew that this was going to happen.
I mean, they have, like, these are huge companies, corporate.
Yeah.
Like, I have to imagine that they have at least a small department that is actively looking for new trends, to stay one step ahead.
Like trend forecasters,
Right? I mean, that's an actual thing.
Yeah, I mean, so.
If they don't have it in-house, then at least consultants, who are definitely supposed to give them a heads up on stuff like that.
Yeah. It's very interesting to see the recent shift with Super Street too. I was at that art gallery thing or photo contest thing, that Shutter Space event that was happening in Costa Mesa a couple days ago.
Oh yeah.
And I was hanging out with like Darren and them, and then I was just like, I was talking to Yogi. I was like, isn't it crazy to think that in 2017, Super Street is as popular as it has ever been, and Super Street is not known to be a magazine anymore?
Wait, what?
Yeah, if you think about the way Super Street is run now, with the whole Super Street Garage thing and the way they're branding themselves, they're more popular now than they have ever been, and people don't even consider Super Street to be a print magazine anymore.
What do they consider it to be?
A brand, a name.
Oh.
Like, anytime Super Street throws a meet, it's fucking crazy now. Like, people like the idea that you can have a meet where there's so many people that it shuts down the entire city or whatever,
Oh.
And anytime Super Street has a meet now, it just goes crazy, dude. But you never hear about people talking about Super Street as a magazine. And that's the craziest thing to me.
I see.
They don't even promote the fact that they have print anymore, if you really notice it.
Oh, really?
Like, Sam and them, they'll throw the issue up sometimes of the magazine covers, like, hey, this is on the news cover. But if you see how their social media works, whenever they post a feature, they always tell you look at a Super Street online.
Well, they can't link you to the magazine.
Yeah. And of course, the easiest way is to do it through the magazine. And then the way that they've branded themselves with shirts, stickers, the way they throw events. Like, Super Street has become a household name again as a household name. Yeah. Nobody ever says, have you looked at the recent issue of Super Street magazine? When was the last time anyone said that to you?
I say that to you all the time.
That's me and you, though, because we're working the fucking thing. Or you're doing a lot more work for Super Street than I am right now, because I've been kind of doing my own thing. But
I actually haven't done much work lately.
yeah, so as far as magazine stuff goes, it's crazy that this event, anything that they do now, is just based purely on social media and the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a smart thing to do. Like, I wish that there would be more focus on print, obviously, because that's what I grew up enjoying. But it's very smart marketing and very good branding in the way that they've brought people in to kind of reinvent the image of Super Street.
I guess that's the way we feel. About how I wish that the brand of Super Street would invest more time into the magazine. And I think a lot of other people feel that way too, but they're all people who work
in the industry.
In the industry.
They're adjusting to the climate, and it's smart. It's something that Charles brought up to me like a couple of years ago, and I was like, yeah, it's very true. And that he had
pun intended.
He wanted them to push the merchandise more,
Mm-hmm.
or push other things other than the magazine, and that's what they're doing now. And it's keeping them alive. It's great, I think. You know.
Those people, they just keep fucking up. Like, they for sure keep fucking up. It's like what the magazine, like what Import Tuner was back then, what it could be now. There's literally nobody better than Charles to, I think, be in charge of that.
Yeah.
Like, that guy is so incredibly on point. Like, a lot of people think that. I mean, sometimes I get the vibe that like people think that guy's just like super chill and like he just all about having fun. But that guy is so on top of shit. Like, now it's insane.
Yeah, people think that Charles is out of his fucking mind, but he's actually a very brilliant man, and that he cares about car stuff probably more than anyone that I've ever met.
Oh.
He just won't tell you about it because
Wow.
he doesn't want you to know that he's crazy about it. You know?
I feel that he generally. I feel like he would feel safe in talking to me about, like, admitting that to me. Just because
you're both crazy. So.
I make no effort to hide it.
Yeah. So it's okay with us when he tells us about it, but I was like, I've had so many talks with Charles about industry, car stuff over the years that it blows my mind how he can still not be working in industry because he chooses not to, and how he's been able to survive without doing anything. I just think that he's a little too brilliant at times for his own good.
Yeah, I guess being too far ahead is
Yeah.
just as bad as being far behind.
But Import Tuner as a brand, imagine if it was marketed the way Super Street is now. Wouldn't that be crazy? It fits the mold perfectly.
It does.
Even the magazine, the style of the magazine suits this type of branding, and I think that's where Charles got it right this whole time.
He really did.
Yeah.
Yeah, the work that we did for Import Tuner, that's some of the stuff that I'm most proud of.
Yeah. No, it's not that stuff. I'm not particularly proud of the Import Tuner stuff that much.
Oh, really?
Because he always gave me really shitty things to write about. No, I'm just kidding. Like, for all the stories I wrote, they were great, but it just... my favorite times were the Super Street, but...
Like, that was before, though.
Yeah, that was when I was also working with Charles, though.
That you were working with Charles when Charles was at Super Street?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when he went to Import Tuner, it was surprising because I didn't think that he was into it, and it was true, you know? But he still made it something great, even though... You know, can you imagine Charles turning that magazine into something that was pretty great when he was half caring about it? Imagine the stuff that he's actually super passionate about and how great that would be. I guess you could see that in his cars.
Yeah, I imagine that had they kept that around, it would have, in my personal opinion, it would have eclipsed Super Street with what it is now. Just because the direction that it was already going in.
Yeah.
Actually, really, like, it would have been incredibly natural transition. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as, like, the way they were branding things already, like, it works out great. Like, Super Street is doing really well right now. As a brand. Like, they're handing out, like, you know those SS stickers?
Yeah.
they made chrome versions of them.
Okay.
And they made them like commemorative items where they were like numbered, and people were going out and collecting these things.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw guys that were like already in the magazine before, who are like older guys. They're into it too, you know. It just blows my mind. That's, I guess it's smart branding, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
So the team that they brought in to do that, they're doing big things. It's really interesting to see. I was at this photo art gallery thing. This art gallery thing was like literally, it was a fucking art gallery, like in Costa Mesa, like a nice shopping center in Costa Mesa.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like fucking like Rocket Bunny cars in there and stuff. And I was like, what is this shit doing in an art gallery? It's crazy.
Wow.
And then like they had photos like printed and stuff. It was pretty cool. I wish I had kind of actually taken photos, but I guess I was in a space where I didn't really want to. I was just kind of hanging out.
Mm.
And I actually saw Aaron's, you know, Aaron from Go Tuning.
Yeah.
Like his Type R was there in the parking lot, and then everyone was just like fucking taking pictures of it, looking inside and doing all kinds of stuff. Like, oh my god, it's a new Civic Type R.
Which Type R?
The brand new one.
Oh yeah.
The one that you just got.
Right.
Yeah, so this is like the brand new Type R, like whatever markup crazy CTR. And then like Aaron comes just strolling out with his kids and his wife, and then I was like, did you bring your car out specifically to this meet? And he's like, no, I just came out for dinner. I just so happened to be in the same parking lot.
Really?
Yeah.
It's funny because at Bottomolo, at the Vita Club event, I was just standing at the booth. To be fair, I was a bit sleep deprived.
As always, yeah.
As always. I hadn't slept the night before, but and it was hot as hell. But somebody came up, I can't remember who it was, and they're like, oh shit, is that a Type R? And they pointed over to the to like one of the pit areas. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, that'd be really cool if it was. And then they're like, no, that's a Type R for sure. I was like, wait, how are you sure? It's like, just because it has shaved moldings, like, but it's silver. Like, oh man, that'd be so cool if they actually painted that car silver, despite it being a Type R. And like, it's always been a Type R, and then they just painted it silver because despite the fact that it wasn't available here. And they're like, what are you talking about? And yeah, there was a new Civic Type R there. I was looking at a Integra that was parked nearby, and it didn't have moldings, and
that's
so I
how
was like,
disconnected you are from reality.
yeah, right. And honestly, like when they brought that up, I was like, oh, it's like, man, like you're so observant, like that there's a silver DC2 without moldings, and you made that connection. They're like, dude, what the fuck, man?
So someone actually tracked a brand new Civic Type R.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw a photo of it online.
Yeah, I think they did.
Cool. Man, ballsy. But good for them. That's crazy.
Wait, why? Are they like known to have Asian engine?
Yeah, they're known to have Asian owners. Yes.
Engine failure?
No, this is a fucking brand new car, man. You know, the warranty doesn't cover you taking it out to the track.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. Right?
Oh, wow.
I don't know. That's pretty cool though to see that people are already diving into it.
I mean, if it's a brand new car, it'll probably be okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope so.
I fucking drove that thing on the Nürburgring or whatever. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be fine at Buttonwillow. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like known to have oil starvation issues.
No. And it's like the guts of the engine are still very similar to the other K series motors, right?
I actually have no idea.
No, yeah, I don't know. But
I thought that was
that's like a K24 something or other.
It's a K series?
Yeah, it's still called a K series, but it's like it looks completely different.
I thought it was more similar to the L series, the New Earth Dreams.
No, I don't think so.
It's a K series.
Yeah, it's still a K series,
Oh,
like
okay.
K24 something or other.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
But I don't know. It's crazy now to think that I was there to see a brand new S2000, and now I can see a brand new Civic Type R.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting really old, I guess, with this car stuff. But I don't know. That's all still very exciting. I can never say that I'm truly tired of car stuff. I guess which I guess that means I'm a car enthusiast or whatever. You know, like I don't get tired of going to things. I can still go to Spocom in 2017 and spend fucking 12 hours there the whole day. You know, like. It's still very much enjoyable to me. Like there are things that I don't like, but there's always been things that I didn't like. I think even when I was younger, I wasn't as educated about stuff. There's still stuff that I look at and I was like, not into it. Like you know, whatever. But
I feel like I'm constantly saying I'm so sick of this shit, and then
you're definitely not.
Every night I'm doing some stupid shit to a car.
Yeah, it's like you're like more of a diehard car guy than most, I think, and that you just like to complain about things just to complain about them.
I guess I do, huh?
Yeah, I think for people like you're never gonna be done with cars ever, you know. So as much as you want to hate it, you can't, because it's very much who you are. You know, you're a car guy.
It's all I am, really.
Yeah.
Outside of this, I'm like literally as useful as I don't know. Fuck. Like a broken refrigerator? Like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, you're all kind of mildly broken in some ways, but car stuff keeps you together.
Yeah.
Car stuff is the glue that keeps your life together.
Yeah, it literally keeps me fed, and I'm not homeless.
Yeah. So yeah, right? Isn't that crazy that we can do this stuff that we love and we're not homeless?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so, huh? I
Yeah.
guess, like, as much as it doesn't seem like a choice,
Mm-hmm.
it was a choice.
Yeah, it's totally a choice, you know? Like, we at any time could just walk away from everything, but it's not like something we're going to do, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we struggle with it, but we're still doing things that we enjoy, you know? It's better than just working a desk job and being able to enjoy car shit sometimes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap it up for today.
It's kind of depressing.
Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. That's it. It's me, Utah, signing off. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.